Welcome. This is a live video conference with NASA astronaut and former UTMB graduate Serena Auñón-Chancellor. And I really appreciate you folks coming. We had a little bit of a time change, so I'm glad that we were able to get all of you here as well. So first of all, I'd like to thank the University Events and UTMB team that put this together and organized the event and coordinated with NASA to get this to happen today. Also, I would like to recognize some folks in the audience. I'm not sure if Dr. Rex McCallum is here. I didn't see him enter, but if he's not here, I'm sure he'll join us in a little while. In addition, I want to introduce and welcome our Preventive Medicine Chair, Dr. Laura Rudkin, in the audience. And I believe Dr. Tom Blackwell, who's the UTMB designated institutional official for the residency programs, will join us later as well. And I also want to introduce Dr. Lindsay Sunstein, the director of the Internal Medicine Residency Program down here near the front. And thank you all for coming. As sort of an introduction to Serena, I've got a short bio that's prepared for me here by our residency coordinator, Yvette. I appreciate your contribution for this. But let me tell you about Serena. Serena Auñón-Chancellor graduated from Poudre High School in Fort Collins, Colorado. She received a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from the George Washington University in Washington, D.C., and a Doctorate of Medicine from the University of Texas Health Science Center in Houston, just down the road from us. She completed a 3-year residency in internal medicine in 2004, followed by a chief year in 2005, and an aerospace medicine residency, which included a Master of Public Health degree in 2007. All of this was from the University of Texas Medical Branch here in Galveston. She's board certified both internal medicine and aerospace medicine. She's a member of the American College of Physicians, Alpha Omega Alpha Medical Honor Society, Tau Beta Pi, the National Engineering Honor Society, American College of Preventive Medicine, and the Aerospace Medical Association. Dr. Serena Auñón-Chancellor began working with NASA as a flight surgeon in 2006. During her NASA career, she spent more than 9 months in Russia supporting medical operations for the International Space Station crew members in Star City, Russia. She also served as deputy crew surgeon for the Space Shuttle mission STS-127. Dr. Serena Auñón-Chancellor began her career at the NASA Johnson Space Center in August of 2006, first employed as a flight surgeon under the UTMB Wiley Bioastronautics contract. She spent more than 9 months in Russia supporting medical operations for the ISS crew members in Star City, including water survival training in the Ukraine and other duties. In addition to serving as deputy crew surgeon for the shuttle mission, she held the role of deputy lead for Orion Medical Operations. In July of 2009, she was selected as one of 14 members of the 20th NASA astronaut class. She completed training in 2011, which included scientific and technical briefings, intensive instruction in space station systems, spacewalks, robotics, physiological training, T-38 flight training, and water and wilderness survival training. She served as an aquanaut aboard the Aquarius underwater laboratory during the Nemo 20 undersea exploration mission. In her previous role, she handled medical issues for both the commercial crew and International Space Station Operations Branch. She currently serves as the International Space Station Operations Branch to handle medical issues as a certified space station capsule communicator and other duties, many other duties. In her spare time, Dr. Auñón-Chancellor keeps up her medical skills and gives back to the community, often with the St. Vincent's House Community Clinic here in Galveston. Dr. Auñón-Chancellor is currently part of the Expedition 56-57 space station crew that launched to the International Space Station in June of 2018. For some current residents in our program in aerospace medicine, could you raise your hands for us, those who are in the audience? A couple in our 2-year program, and one of our residents, Dr. Karen Hong, is in our combined internal medicine, aerospace medicine residency program. So feel free afterward to ask them questions. I see we have a number of people from the aerospace medicine track from the medical school. Could you raise their hands for us too? Great, thanks. Welcome, and hopefully we'll provide some additional information for you about how this all works.
Hey, UTMB, this is the International Space Station. How do you hear me?
Hey, Serena, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. How me?
Great, sounds good. I know you can't see me, but this is Ed Powers, and then hopefully you're having a great day up there today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been actually a really busy day up here. We pretty much work from 7 to 7, but it is a Friday, so we're looking forward to the weekend.
Sounds good. Well, we have a whole bunch of folks here who want to ask you some questions. So stand by just a second. We'll get the first question up to you.
Hi, I'm Sharon. I'm one of the current chief residents at UTMB Internal Medicine. And I just wanted to ask you, what medical research are you performing on board ISS, and what are the applications for Earth medicine?
Yeah, Sharon, first of all, you're doing an awesome job as a chief. That was one of my most favorite years there at UTMB, and we can talk about that a little later. But we are doing a lot of medical research on board the space station. You know, we, the astronauts up here, are some of our biggest medical subjects. And so I've had every body fluid collected from the day I first arrived, from urine to blood to feces to saliva. You name it, they've collected it because so many changes happen to the human body once you get up into the spaceflight environment. But, you know, a lot of people on the ground kind of say, well, you know, who cares? You know, why is it important what you're doing up there? How does that apply to me down on the Earth? Well, I'll tell you, a couple months ago, I was doing some research on endothelial cells and how those endothelial cells grow in microgravity. And it turns out that they love to grow in microgravity. Scientists who try and culture endothelial cells in the ground can't culture them for very long. Therefore, we can't run any other sort of tests on them for very long because they don't survive very well. But up here, for whatever reason, they feel like they're in the body. And so we actually were doing cancer chemotherapy research on endothelial cells, trying to target vascular tumors, because those cells grew so well up here. So I did that for about a month and a half, and it was really neat to be able to interact with the PI on a daily basis. We do genomic sequencing up here, and you may say, big deal, we do that on the ground. Well, doing it on the space station is a lot different. You've got to learn to do it remotely with very small pieces of equipment because we can't launch huge pieces of equipment up here to operate them. And so by proving that we can sequence up here and then even sequence and look at mutations in the DNA up here, we can show that you can do that in remote locations back on Earth. So the third thing I wanted to talk about, one that was kind of neat, is a study called MARROW, and it's out of the Canadian Space Agency. So we do not just American experiments. We have experiments across the board from all of our international partners. And this is a study that looks at the bone marrow itself with inactivity. Because up here, we just float around. If you've ever seen the movie WALL-E, we're kind of those people that float around on a conveyor belt all day. And so, in a sense, we are a great analog up here for folks who are in bed rest on the ground. And so they're looking to see if the composition of our bone marrow actually changes up here, and that if that bone marrow has a higher concentration of fatty tissue. So that's just one example, but it definitely has real-world applications for you guys down there.
It's Amy Krakus, one of the UTMB Aerospace Medicine residents. Thanks for taking the time today. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the importance of medicine in space and how it relates to medicine terrestrially.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like what I just mentioned, in that we're a great analog for folks who are in bed rest. So another one of the experiments we're doing up here is called myotones. And what that is we're looking at the changes that occur in the fascia and the tissue up here with long periods of inactivity. We don't use our legs up here. I mean, the neat part is I can work on any surface. I can throw my feet up and I can work on the ceiling. I can hang upside down. It doesn't matter to me. But essentially, we're not walking, we're not jumping. We don't have the force of gravity acting against us so that our legs and everything are working every day. And so in a sense, our muscles atrophy almost immediately from the first point we get up here. And so they're looking specifically at those changes to see if they can relate that to some of our bed rest populations back there on Earth. So again, I think, you know, uniquely, especially with the endothelial cell research we were doing, we've shown that this microgravity environment, this space station environment, could be a very unique platform for researchers. And we can get experiments up here, like we often do in our SpaceX vehicle, perform the science in about 30 days, and get those cells back down to Earth within 24 to 48 hours.
This is Karen Ong, one of the first-year UTMB Internal and Aerospace Medicine program participants. I was wondering if you could tell us about what you remembered during your training time at UTMB and how it helps you in your current job.
Yeah, so I was at UTMB for many years. Of course, I did my internal medicine residency there. I served a year as chief resident, and then my aerospace medicine residency. Some people said I was a glutton for punishment, but I loved every minute of it. The friends that I made during residency, both residencies, are friends I still have today, because these are people you, in essence, go to war with in the hospital. I mean, these are your colleagues, your comrades. You help each other out. And, during your residency, you're often tired a lot of the times, and you may not feel that some of these friendships will last, but they actually do. They persist. And funny enough, I feel like the relationships I had with a lot of our faculty advisors as well has still persisted to this day, and I still rely on those people for a lot of advice and for their friendship. And so I have so many warm memories of being at UTMB, and everybody knew while I was going through those residencies that I was so interested in working for NASA and hopefully someday becoming an astronaut. And honestly, everybody always helped propel me towards that goal. I never had one person dissuade me. They thought it was neat, they thought it was admirable, and they always helped. So I want to say thank you to everyone out there, because I would not be here today without your help down there.
Hi, my name is Matthew Pekka. I'm a first-year medical student here at UTMB on the Aerospace Medicine track. And I want to know, is there another special message that you'd like to convey toward our medical students and house staff?
Yeah, just in essence, UTMB is a very special place to train. It's one of these places that is well known throughout the state and well known by patients throughout the state. So you get such a broad range of a patient population, including the TDCJ hospital. I mean, you really can't beat that prison population when it comes to pathology. So I felt like I learned as much as I possibly could. And again, especially during residency, when you're so tired and you maybe don't want to go to noon conference or go to grand rounds, and, go take advantage of as many of those learning opportunities as you can, because I feel like you will never be smarter than you are that last day of residency. I felt like we were absolutely at the top of our game, especially studying for boards for initial certification. And so take advantage of the faculty that you have there. Ask some questions. If you're not sure that you want to subspecialize or not, or stay in general practice, ask to meet with those folks. Ask to have lunch with them. They're always there to help you. And yeah, everybody's busy. I get it. But UTMB is a really special place. It affords you so many opportunities. I mean, if you look at it, we're one of the few places with an aerospace medicine program in the entire country. Most folks, when you talk to them about aerospace medicine, commonplace at UTMB, but across the country, a lot of folks have never heard of it. But look at what we're doing. I mean, if you look at the majority of flight surgeons who work for NASA and a majority of the astronauts who are physician astronauts, we come from one place, and that's UTMB. So again, you're training in a really special place, so take advantage of it.
My name is Michael Fan. I'm a first-year medical student, and I'm also part of the aerospace track. I have a question. Does seeing Earth from space give you a new appreciation for how special our world is? And with that in mind, do you think we'll ever find life on another world?
Wow, it's a big question. So I will say that looking down at our home planet from here, it definitely gives you perspective. It's honest. People ask what I think about seeing other countries and continents and passing. We orbit the Earth every 90 minutes, so we are hauling at 17,500 miles an hour. But what really has impressed me the most the other day was when our Japanese cargo vehicle, HTV-7, pulled up alongside ISS. And I looked out the cupola, and I see this massive vehicle sitting there waiting, doing exactly what it's supposed to do before it kind of slowly comes in, and we pull it into our parking lot. And in a couple weeks, we've got Northrop Grumman coming up, and then a Russian Progress vehicle. So it was amazing to me that this is now commonplace, to see another vehicle pull up besides ISS all the time. So to look at how far we've come as multiple countries in the space program to build this fantastic laboratory and watch it work and work really well, that to me is absolutely amazing.
Anna Struvey with O'Connell College Prep High School, and I was just wondering what it's like going into space for the first time.
When we were sitting on the launch pad, and they let us listen to music right before we launch, and so we had a wide variety of music, but the last song our crew listened to was Michael Jackson, Billie Jean, because you really just can't beat the king of pop, and it was awesome to sit there. We all kind of danced inside the vehicle. And then right after that, that's when our rocket lit and it was ready to go. And let me tell you, you're going somewhere really, really fast. And it takes about 8.5 minutes for us to get into orbit. And the engines were really smooth. It was a smooth ride. What's a little more violent are the stage cutoffs, the first, second, and third stage. And that last stage cutoff, when we were actually in space and experiencing microgravity, when that last part of the engine finally cut off, I felt like the world almost tilted by 45 degrees. And part of it is we think our brain is adapting to being in microgravity, but it was the weirdest kind of visual illusion that most of us experienced inside the capsule. That went away after about 2 or 3 hours, but just the freedom of being able to float anywhere and work anywhere was amazing.
My name's Daniel Milthap, and I'm a first-year medical student here at UTMB. I'm also a part of the Aerospace Medical track. We were wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you decided to become an astronaut and where you were in your education or career when it really sparked your interest.
Yeah, so I wanted to be an astronaut since I was maybe about 5 or 6 years old. And I went and did electrical engineering as an undergraduate, but then went pre-med. Actually, I went pre-med fairly late in my undergraduate career. I was heading into my junior year. And then I went to medical school at UT Houston, just up the road from you guys, and learned about the different rotations that you could do at Johnson Space Center, and then finally learned about the combined aerospace medicine, internal medicine residency at UTMB. And I remember, and I think Yvette Schultz is there today, so I want to say hi to her and my good friend Megan as well. But Yvette was the first person I talked to at UTMB and asked her about this program. And I remember talking to her and saying, well, how many applicants do you take? And she said, 1, but you should try. Go ahead and put your application in. And it was kind of history from there. It worked out for me because I love internal medicine and I loved aerospace medicine. And so it worked out beautifully that everything was right there in my backyard. But again, all those folks, as I began all my training, just really helped me along the way, and to this day are my very, very good friends.
Hey, I'm Noe Trevino from UTMB. I'm a first-year medical student as well, a part of the Aerospace Medicine track. And I was wondering, what opportunities do you see for civilian physicians to go into space? And how would you advise medical students to prepare for a career like this?
So the space program, the space business is changing rapidly. We have many commercial companies that are out there, and certainly we already have UTMB graduates who are working at those companies as aerospace medicine physicians. Right now, the best way to get into space is to apply to the astronaut corps, just like I did. And you guys are already on the right track for that, because you definitely need an advanced degree. But I think in the future, we're going to need more and more physicians working for these commercial companies, or sort of commercial offsprings from these companies as well, even private consulting. So the opportunities are coming. They're going to be there. But you're definitely, the best thing to do is to start off at the right place. And that's exactly what you've done.
Hello, my name is Steve Kunkel. I'm a first-year medical student at UTMB in the Aerospace Medicine program. It's really great to virtually meet you. Could you describe the process of becoming an astronaut?
Yeah, so it's about a 2-year application period. Sounds like a lot, and it is. You basically it's an online application that you put in. They have basic medical requirements and educational requirements. And then you have to get letters of recommendation from folks that you've worked with, folks that know you well and who you think would be able to describe you to NASA well. And so if Dr. Tom Blackwell is there in the audience, I think he is. He wrote me one of my letters to get into the astronaut corps. I've worked with him a very long time and knew that he knew me as a person and how hard I worked. I was his chief resident for a year. And so he provided one of those letters. So Tom, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because again, I would not be up here if it were not for you. Once you apply to the corps, they generally, once they screen all the applications, they will call folks in for an interview. And you sit with an initial interview board of about 15 people. Most of those are active astronauts. And then you go and learn about basic things about Johnson Space Center. The second week of that interview period is the medical week. And that's when you get screened from head to toe. NASA does not like to take a lot of risks. And so even right up until flight, we are pretty much, every part of us is looked at, poked, prodded, screened, tested, blood drawn, you name it. It's the most extensive physical you will ever get in your lifetime, courtesy of the U.S. government. Besides that, if you're honored and lucky enough to get chosen into the corps, they let you know by phone call. But the whole process takes about 2 years.
Hi, my name's Brian Rodriguez. I'm a first-year medical student at UTMB in the Aerospace Medicine track. I just wanted to ask, is there any special thing astronauts do to keep their mental well-being in space?
You know, this is mental well-being in space is a big deal, especially when you're up here for 197 days, like our crew will be. Right now, I think looking at my watch, we keep track. Tomorrow will be day 150 on orbit. And so we take behavioral health, mental well-being very seriously up here. We really regulate our work-rest cycle. As a crew, we have dinner together every night. We often have lunch together. We have crew movie nights on Saturday nights. We have live family conferences every weekend. We try and have fun together, play games together, because we understand that being away from your family is not easy, and that's probably one of the hardest things that all of us have had to do. And it's not just the time on orbit. The 2 years leading up to a flight, we're away from home 60 to 70% of the time. So you're already missing your family prior to launching. But what really boosts us too, or, being able to talk with family and friends as often as possible. Getting emails from people with pictures of Earth is fantastic. A short 10-second video of the wind blowing is amazing. So you'd be surprised what we don't have up here, and that's the simple everyday things that you experience when you walk outside every day down there.
Hello, I am Stephen Braden, MS1 here with the Aerospace track. What are the major concerns about the health effects of your time in space?
Yeah, so I get that question a lot. And I think, obviously the bone and muscle breakdown is one of the things we actively try and counter every day. We exercise 2 to 2.5 hours every day. It's about an hour of weightlifting and 45 minutes to an hour of aerobic activity. People do talk about radiation. So certainly in low Earth orbit, radiation is not as much of a concern because it's a very low dose rate. Plus, you are still protected by the shielding of ISS itself. The thickness of the walls of the vehicle are pretty high. And the Earth's magnetic field and the atmosphere, all that contribute to help protect the body. But one thing I'd like to say is really the human body is remarkable. It adapts to a wide variety of environments. I mean, look at where people live on Earth. We've got areas with pollution so high it would make you choke to very high altitude areas. And yet we've got humans living there every day. So how does the body adapt to that? Well, it does it very well. So there's no reason to think it doesn't do the same in low Earth orbit. So where does the concern come in? I think the concern comes in when we head off beyond low Earth orbit to the moon and hopefully to Mars. Now you're looking at a much higher level of radiation, higher incidence of maybe a hit by a solar particle event. We're not going to send a vehicle the size of ISS off to Mars where we have these fantastic exercise devices. So what do we have in its place? Is the shielding of the vehicle going to be the same? So, and I think one of the biggest things, the further and further you get away from Earth, how does that impact the crew behaviorally, especially with the time delay when it comes to communication? So these are all things we're trying to work through, and this is really our best start is having this orbiting laboratory up here and watching what happens to the human, even when we're this close to home.
Hello, Serena. This is Jenny Wang, one of the first-year aerospace medicine residents, and honored to speak with you again. My question is as follows. Hi there. Due to the success of American spaceflight research and international collaboration, NASA has always been seen as a well-regarded ambassador of our country's ideal and spirits, and we're wondering how you felt the future of NASA would be held with this respect.
Yeah, so fantastic question. A lot of people, constantly ask me if I'm concerned because it's not all Americans up here, or it's, for instance, this last Soyuz that was supposed to launch and be on station aborted. So we're missing 2 of our other colleagues right now. We have been working together so long as international partners, collaborating on experiments. For us, it's easy. For the crew, it is absolutely easy. It is our normal life. We have no concerns. The collaboration is fantastic because we've got Sergei, our Russian commander of the Soyuz. He comes down from the Russian segment and takes part in American experiments all the time. And we do the same thing over on the Russian side. And we share. So, for example, I was actually harvesting plants today from ISS. It was really kind of cool. It was a small garden of Arabidopsis plants. And Sergei came over with his camera because he wants to show everybody all the science we're doing up here. I think one of the main things ISS has shown over the years is how absolutely fantastic our international collaboration is. And not just up here. If you think about it, when we talk with mission control on the ground, it's not just Houston. It's Houston, it's Huntsville, Alabama for science, it's Tsukuba for Japan, it's Moscow, and it's Munich, all the way in Germany. So we are constantly collaborating with different international control centers, and they collaborate and discuss amongst themselves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That, to me, is amazing, because they all have the difficult job of making sure they keep this orbiting laboratory safe. So people find it very commonplace that we're all up here, but let me tell you, it is no commonplace thing to watch how International Space Station operations run day to day.
Hey, Serena, it's Lindsay Sunstein. It's great to see you. We're really excited that you're talking to us today. This is a follow-up to sort of what you were mentioning. Can you tell us how the Soyuz rocket failure will affect you guys on the space station?
Yeah, Lindsay, thanks for asking that question. Really good to hear your voice up here. What we tell folks is, hey, as many years as the Russians and Americans have been launching vehicles, we are still going to have failures. But it's interesting, when you ask people, at least from our field of work, about this failure, we call it a spectacular failure. Why? Because the launch abort system worked, and it saved the life of the crew. So it impacts us because we're missing two of our colleagues right now, and so we kind of have to shuffle around the schedule. That being said, our days are still packed with science. And of course, yesterday the official announcement came out that the next crew, not the two guys that just attempted to come up, but the next crew of Anne McLean, David St. Jacques, and Oleg Kononenko will be launching the station, knock on wood, very soon, towards the end of December. Beginning of December. They're coming up on December 3rd. And so that's the other kind of really cool thing about what our control centers do. When something like that happens, you've got people I know who are up all night trying to rework the schedule to make sure the critical science gets done and that station is kept and maintained. So I think what this last abort showed us, number one, it was a stark reminder of how dangerous it is to be in space. Space is a very, very hard and tough business. It is never easy. I know our commercial partners who are developing their manned vehicles were watching. And again, it was a reminder of how well a launch abort system can work, as did the Soyuzes, and how important it is to save the life of the crew if needed. So flying in space is never commonplace. I think the biggest thing it did was just provide a wake-up call that what we do up here is never normal on a day-to-day basis.
Hey, Dr. Auñón, it's Linda. I'm a fourth-year medical student in the Aerospace Medicine track. Hi. So you're scheduled to return shortly before the holidays. So how do you deal with your holiday shopping? Can you order online, or did you have to get things done beforehand?
That's actually not the first time I've gotten that question up here. So everybody's really concerned about our holiday shopping on orbit. Funny enough, the ISS finally got internet for the crew a few months back. I know that seems kind of odd. We've had internet for forever, but we have to protect the ISS as much as possible, especially the systems from viruses, hackers, and so forth. But we did get it up here. So I think it'd be a little difficult to actually do the online shopping, because you know what they do? They always ask for your email password, and then they verify by sending a text message to your phone. Well, we don't have our phones up here, but at least I can look. And then I've got all kinds of people lined up on the ground, and that would be you, Megan and Yvette, to do the ordering for me.
Hey, Serena, this is Megan Berman. I do have your list available. So good to see you and hear from you. My question, you actually breached a little bit earlier, but how do you do exercise in space, and how much do you get of it every day?
No, Megan, it is so good to hear your voice up here. It's just very important to have good friends like Megan down there for me to call when I need a sane voice to talk to. So exercise, yeah. We've got a really fantastic exercise device called ARED, the Advanced Resistive Exercise Device. That provides our resistive load, because obviously weights don't weigh anything up here. So we provide load through the use of a vacuum type tube assembly, and we can get loads up to 600 pounds. So we do everything from squats to deadlifts to bench press, shoulder press, bicep curl, tricep extension, cable crunches, you name it, we can pretty much do it up here on ISS. And we have our workout specialists on the ground who send us an exercise prescription, literally they call it a prescription, weekly, where they do alternating sets and continually increase that load. And now that, knock on wood, we're in the last 6 months of our mission, our loads start the slow, steady climb all the way up until we undock. And then for aerobic activity, we have a choice of either T2, which is our treadmill, where we actually wear a harness and strap ourselves down and create load on the treadmill, or our cycloergometer. And they're really fantastic pieces of equipment that if they break, on orbit for whatever reason, the crew wants to get those fixed right away because exercise is such a huge part psychologically for us up here. If we don't exercise, we are not happy.
Hey, Serena, this is Stephen Klemzak. I'm one of the current chiefs of internal medicine. I just wanted to ask, what are the things you will miss most about space?
Yeah, so, space, and it's funny, even though no matter how many times I've done it, doing flips is not easy. That's the smoothest flip I've had forever. In fact, my commander, Alex Gerst on the space station, says I need to continuously practice because I'm not very good. But you know what I'll miss, honestly, is just being able to work in any direction. It's just so neat. And it doesn't bother. You don't even think about it. My feet, my hands, I know exactly what to do. I probably won't miss the food that much because we all talk about what foods we miss at home already. But just floating to work every day, there's really nothing better than that. Just sitting in any position, it's just super cool. I can't, I float to work. I float back to my crew quarters. It doesn't get better than that.
Well, Serena, I think we've come to the end of our questions down here on the ground. It's been a real pleasure seeing you and talking with you on orbit. And we really appreciate you spending part of your day with us.
Yeah, Ed, everybody there, UTMB, I've been looking forward to this event for so long. I'm so happy to be able to get to chat with you. Best of luck with everything, and keep following us up here. There's more good things to come, and I hope to see you guys soon. Take care.
Well, lots of thanks to NASA and, of course, our team here at UTMB that put this together for us. And Serena's time, she's very, very busy on orbit. It's truly a pleasure to share this time with her on orbit. Looking forward to talking to her when she comes back and hearing about all these experiences as well. So sort of a wrap-up, a couple of things I wanted to mention. I was in the middle of sort of introducing some folks that are key to the training programs here. Dr. Sunstein, I believe, had to leave, but she's director of the Oh, there she is. She's near the microphone now. She's director of the Internal Medicine Residency Program here at UTMB. We work very closely with her when we select combined residency candidates. I am the director of the Aerospace Medicine Residency Program. Our coordinator, you've already been introduced to, is Yvette Schultz, sitting here in the front row. We have a couple of other faculty, our only other two full-time faculty members now. I'd like to introduce Dr. Cheryl Lowry here in the front row, and Dr. Brian Pinkston as well. And I had the folks start to, and of course we've got Kayla Vanderweide back there, who's our administrative secretary who keeps things rolling for us. I was beginning to talk about our residents. We have, I believe you've heard from them. Dr. Jenny Wang is here. She's a first-year resident. And Dr. Amy Krakis is, I see her back there. She's also a first-year resident. And Karen Ong, I started to point out too, and she's in the combined program, Internal Medicine and Aerospace Medicine. We have 3 residents per year, plus an additional combined resident. The rest of the residents are off doing fun things. And if you want to hear about some of the things that they're doing, come and talk to one of us after this presentation, because we send them to the Air Force, we send them to NASA, they go to Antarctica, they do many interesting things to experience extreme environments and prepare them to be flight surgeons and maybe astronauts. So I'll bring this to a close now, but also wanted to let you know that we do have a summer course, the Principles in Aviation and Space Medicine course. It's an introductory course in aerospace medicine that's offered in the summer. This year it will be the last week of June and the first 3 weeks of July. The requirements for that are to be either a physician or in your end of your third, beginning of your 4th year of medical school. And we select a group of 20 people for that particular course, and it gives you a comprehensive exposure to this field. And with that, I think we're pretty much done. Did I forget anything with that? Good. Well, thanks so much for your participation.
UTMB Health, working together to work wonders.